Hallo Leute, ich bin Jess, das ist Kylie und das ist Yoda und wir leben in Alaska. Ich lerne Deutsch, damit ich eines Tages in Deutschland leben und arbeiten kann und ihr seid Deutsch für euch.
Today we're continuing our look into Modalpartikel, those little words that Germans sprinkle into every sentence, or so it seems, especially in colloquial speech, that are kind of hard to grasp for language learners because they seem so, well, lacking in their definition, but at the same time flexible and ubiquitous. Among the ones we're looking at today will be HALT, which is probably one of the first ones you stumble across, as well as EBEN, EINFACH, and ECHT. By the way, if you missed the first video on these, that's where I talked about doch, ja, mal, and denn. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can go check it out on the little I, either before you watch this, then come back, or watch this first. It really doesn't matter. I'm just making this chunk series, so it's not all at once. But, as so often, before we get into it today, it's sponsor time! Today's episode of DFE is sponsored by Busuu. Busuu is a language learning platform that has been around for a long time, actually so long that I personally still remember their earlier versions where I learned Japanese. I even dabbled in Turkish a bit at the time, and this was long before Deutsch Für Euch, so they're one of the OGs. They have always banked on using the great potential that lies within a language community, so different learners on the site interacting with each other and helping each other out. They are all about setting up your personal study plan, and they send you reminder emails if you want that, and tell you how long you will take to reach your study goals if you, for example, study 10 minutes per day. But their unique feature to me is that you get to learn with a community. So when you sign up, you don't only say which language you are currently trying to learn, but also which languages you already speak and what level you speak them at. And this information is then used in the community feature, for you to be able to help others who are learning the languages that you already know by correcting either text submissions they make or sound submissions they make. So you can coach people, other learners, on their pronunciation, on which words they use, etc. I think this is a really awesome feature. It's not only good to find friends who are learning either your language, so you can maybe do a language exchange, but also find other people who are learning the same language as you. And you can get immediate feedback from people who authentically speak the language, which is also why I'm bringing it up today, because today's episode is all about that, how to actually speak like a native. So, go check out Busuu. The link is in the description. Go there if you're looking for a learning platform that really emphasizes motivation and cooperating with native speakers of the language you're learning, and also getting to be a bit of a teacher yourself if you're into that. I hope you find them useful. Since this is a new sponsor, let me know how you get on with it, how you like it. I'd love to hear about your experiences. And now, let's get back to our own lesson on a very native aspect of speaking German. We're jumping right in with HALT. You may have come across information about this Modalpartikel already, as this being the closest thing to that little filler word that you use in English, like. Why? Because Germans like to pepper this in all over the place, even when it doesn't express any meaning whatsoever, but usually it's put in as this feeling of, well, that's obvious, of course, or deal with it. So when I say das ist halt so, it's like, well, that's just what it is, all right? You just gotta accept it. Das ist halt so. Da kann man nichts machen. It also kind of implies I don't want to explain this because it should be obvious that this is just what it is. Because halt, when I say, naja, dann habe ich halt gesagt, dann bin ich da halt hingegangen, naja, und dann habe ich das halt so gemacht. What you're implying by saying that, even when you're not consciously thinking about it, is, well, that's just what it is. That's just what happened. That's just what I did. That's just blah, blah, blah. So you can see I'm using the word just a lot in English. That's really very close to it. Das ist halt so. Well, that's just what it is. When you're using it in an imperative, so an order or similar thing, so when you're telling somebody, do that, say that, whatever, then it also has a similar meaning or implication, being, for example, well, you're gonna have to do it anyway, so just do it. just go ahead and do it. Just do it. So our famous little meme, just do it, could be translated with mach es halt. Or mach es einfach, but we'll get to that later. Dann mach das halt schnell, therefore means, okay, then just get it over with. You're gonna have to do it anyway. It can't be changed, so do it halt. In a lot of cases, halt is synonymous or exchangeable with EBEN. EBEN, by the way, just as a little side note, rarely ever is translatable to even. In fact, the only instance in which it is possible is when we're talking about an Ebene, which is a flat piece of land, so a plain, and you could say, well, it's even. It's even and straight. Das ist eben. Es ist eben means it's an even surface. That's where eben means even. But when I, for example, want to say, well, that's not even true, you can never translate that with eben, all right? Outside of the Modalpartikel context, eben means really quick or just for a second. So, for example, the sentence, ich mach das eben, means I'll just do this real quick and then I'll be with you. Or I'll just do this real quick, hold on. That's kind of the implication. Ich mach das noch eben. Moment. Ich muss eben noch ein Video aufnehmen, dann können wir reden. However, as a Modalpartikel, as I said, it's very close to halt in meaning. It expresses a certain unwillingness. It's basically saying, well, I really don't like this, but I guess I have to, so fine. Ja gut, dann mache ich das eben. So, same sentence as ich mach das eben, I'll do that real quick, but expresses a different thing. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the difference in intonation. This is also a really good exercise to practice listening for differences, small differences in tone and context. But there's a difference between me saying, ja, Moment, ich mach das eben, and ja, dann mach ich das eben. Because the second sentence, where eben is the Modalpartikel, means, okay, fine, I'll do it. All right, if you insist, I'll do it. Dann mach ich das eben. Which could also be replaced by halt. Ja, okay, dann mach ich das halt. Fine. Okay, ja, gut. Dann gehe ich eben zu deiner Feier. Ooh, that's a really bad friend, but okay. Let's stick with that. Okay, fine, I'll come to your party. Ja, dann komme ich eben zu deiner Feier. Einfach. Einfach is a word you probably already know. It means easy, and accordingly, when you use it as a Modalpartikel, it's actually not that far from that meaning. In English, in a lot of these sentences, you would translate it with simply or just. So einfach kind of always implies, I don't see what the problem is with this. It can also be used with a frustrated implication. Mach das einfach. In that sense, it's also related to doch. Mach das doch einfach so means, I don't see what the problem is. Just do it the way I told you. Just do it. Mach das doch einfach. Mach das doch einfach. Mach das doch einfach. Or mach das einfach. Mach das einfach and mach das doch einfach, by the way, just to kind of relate back to doch. The difference here is when I say mach das einfach, it sounds very strict. Just do it. I don't want to discuss it. Mach das einfach. You could even be, okay, just do it and you'll see. Mach das einfach. Dann wirst du schon sehen. Mach das doch einfach means, oh, come on, just do it. Just simply do it. Mach das doch einfach. Mach das doch einfach mal. Just go ahead and do it. It's not a big deal. It can also mean that's just what it is, it's not going to change, and that's final. Ja, ich glaube, ich muss das einfach akzeptieren. I think I just have to accept that. Das ist einfach so. That's just what it is. I don't need to or want to explain it further, because this is just a truth that exists. Das ist einfach so. Ich bin einfach zu blöd dafür. Ich verstehe einfach nicht, wie man sowas sagen kann. I just don't get how you could say something like that. Ich glaube, ich muss mich damit einfach abfinden. Especially when we're complaining about something or criticizing somebody, it also carries that implication of you are inconsiderate or ignorant or reckless, or somebody was. So, for example, das kannst du doch nicht einfach sagen. You can't just say that. Or, hat mich einfach angehupt. That guy just honked at me. And just not in the sense of just now, but he just did that out of nowhere. And I don't know why. Hat mich einfach angehupt. And then lastly for today, echt. And at the same time, wirklich and voll. Now these are not really in the same vein as the rest of the Modalpartikel, but I thought that they fit this group. And I wanted to include them because they are used a lot. It's really easy. All of these serve to heighten or strengthen an adjective. So, and in that vein, they are usually interchangeable. A lot of the time, you will just translate any of these with really, which is what wirklich, really actually means. So, das ist ja echt toll. Oh, that's really great. Das ist ja echt toll. Or without the ja, das ist echt toll. Das ist wirklich super. Das ist wirklich toll. Das ist voll toll. Das ist voll super. I've talked about voll before. Definitely a colloquial word that you will hear a lot. Only difference is, when we're talking about questions, you can't use voll. There you can only use echt and wirklich. Hast du das echt gesagt? Did you really say that? Hast du das wirklich gesagt? So, summing up. Halt is similar to like in the amount in which it gets used, not so much in actual meaning. What it means is, well, that's just what it is. You can't change it, etc. So it gets used in instances where the speaker doesn't want their statement to be contested because they're saying, regardless of what the reasons are, the sources are, or whatever, das ist halt so. That's just what it is. It's often interchangeable with eben, which means the same things in a lot of instances, and is used especially in sentences that declare, okay, I'll do it, but I don't actually want to. Dann mache ich das eben. In which it differs from the more literal usage, in which it means real quick. Ich mach das eben, I'll do that real quick. Hold on, is implied. Einfach means easy or simply, and that's also how it's used. It's used when the speaker doesn't see a problem with what they're seeing or with the situation that's being portrayed to them. Naja, ich hab einfach keine Lust. I just don't want to. Mach das einfach. Just do it. And it's used a lot in sentences that basically say that is a general fact, that's just what it is and what it always will be. It's a universal truth or unchangeable in some way. Das ist einfach so. Ich bin einfach zu blöd dafür, etc. And then lastly, echt, wirklich, and voll are strengtheners. They enhance an adjective. In question, you can't use voll, but all of them mean really in some sense. Das ist voll toll. Hast du das wirklich gesagt? Hast du das echt gesagt? Hat dir das gefallen? Ja, voll. Yeah, totally. And that's it for today. As always, before I go, I want to point out my patrons that are scrolling by right now. All of these are people supporting DFE on Patreon, which is linked on the screen right now, and also always in the description. It's a page where you can support DFE financially to keep the show going and to get a few rewards besides standing on this lovely list, like getting scripts for all of my grammar episodes, being more involved in the process in general. I post some announcements on there every now and then, etc. And other things. To check out the whole list, go check it out. You can look at it before you decide on anything. If you consider signing up, thank you very much. And thank you especially to everybody pledging $10 and more. Now, your random word of the week is der Straßenlärm, traffic noise, which is what I have to filter out of my audio every time I record a video. Der Straßenlärm. And now that's it. Don't forget to go check out Busuu if you're looking for a new motivating resource that lets you get in contact with other language learners of both your desired language and your known languages. And I'll see you next time. Bis dann. Tschüss.